Hey everybody, in the last video I talked about my recent trip to Minnesota to visit my girlfriend's parents, and while we were there we stopped at Scale Model Supply in St. Paul and I picked up that beautiful Lionel Central Vermont Alco RS11 that they made back in 2018. Well, I picked up one other train item while I was in Minnesota, and here it is. I got this at Menards. This is the Oak Point Nuclear Power Plant, and we're going to check it out right now on Eric's Trains. Alright, so if you've been a subscriber to this channel for any length of time, you know that I've done plenty of videos on Menards O-Gauge train stuff. And so you may be wondering, well, hey Eric, if you were in Minnesota, you know, why did you go to the trouble of buying something from a Menards there and then schlepping it all the way back here to Georgia when you could have just ordered it online and had it delivered like you always do? Well, the thing is, I've never been to a Menards in person. We don't have Menards down here in Georgia, and while I was there I really wanted to go check one out and see if maybe, just maybe, they had some train stuff on hand. So my girlfriend's sister was kind enough to drive us to a local Menards, and I went in there and I got some other stuff. I really liked it. And I found the place where they had the trains on display previously, but they were no longer there. They had been replaced by pool gear or something like that, something more seasonal. And that wasn't really a surprise because I've heard that Menards does not display the train stuff year-round. It's seasonal. They bring it out around Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then put it away for the rest of the year. But I thought, okay, well, it's March, you know, maybe they have some train stuff in the back that they didn't sell. So I found an employee, and I must have sounded crazy to her because I said, look, you know, we don't have Menards in Georgia. I've never been to a Menards before. Is there any way you might have some train stuff maybe in the back that you didn't sell? And she said, you know, I think we do. And so she took me upstairs because there is no back in Menards, it's upstairs. And she found another guy, and he said, yeah, it's over by the Christmas stuff. So apparently the out-of-season stuff they just take upstairs and set it there until they need it again. And so sure enough, we went around the corner and there was loads of Menards train stuff on display. So she left me there and I spent about 10 or 15 minutes checking everything out and deciding what to buy and bring home. And I finally settled on this. And I even shot some video while I was up there, so let's check that out and then we'll come back here. So I'm in Oakdale, which is outside of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I've always wanted to come into a Menards to buy a train. They don't have them down on the floor right now because they're out of season, but they let me come upstairs. And here they are, and this is what they have left over. So we're gonna pick something out and take it home. Even though I could order it on the website, I just always wanted to come into a store and see what they had, so yeah. And there's Lisa. She's gonna pick something out. There's the little HO version of the M&M's UFO accessory that I had, but I gave it away. But there's the HO version. Got Arby's. The nuclear power plant is really cool, but that's a little too big for me to carry on the airplane back home. Maybe the FedEx facility. Okay, screw it. We're going for the nuclear power plant. It's just too cool. It's got the revolving nuclear reactor with multicolored LED lights, and the transformers have red lights on them. It's just too cool. So the nuclear power plant it is, even though the FedEx facility would be a little more practical, but I think this will make more of an impact on the layout, if I can fit it on the layout. So yeah, I felt really lucky that I got to go to a Menards in March and actually get some train stuff. And you know, overall it was a great trip. I got some train stuff from Menards, I got the RS11 from Scale Model Supply, and I got to meet my girlfriend's parents for the first time, and it also snowed while we were there. It actually started snowing while we were in Menards. So overall it was a great trip. But you know, I had bought this thing and now I had to bring it home. You know, I could have shipped it via the post office, but I didn't want to do that. So I decided to bring it on the plane with me. It was too big to put in my checked baggage, obviously. So I took it as a carry-on. And it was quite an adventure carrying this through the Minneapolis airport and then on the plane and then the Atlanta airport and the plane train in Atlanta. I got a lot of funny looks from people. The funniest moment was when I was going through security in Minneapolis. The TSA guy takes a look at it And I'm thinking, oh boy, they might have some kind of an issue with this. But then his eyes light up like a kid on Christmas morning, and he was so excited about this thing. I think he really wanted me to take it out of the box and plug it up and show him how it worked. It was hilarious. But anyway, yeah, I got it through both airports and the plane in one piece, and so now let's go ahead and open it up and check it out. All right, so it's a pretty big package. It's, 21 inches by 11 inches by 12 inches, give or take. So yeah, you can see what I was saying about it being weird carrying this through the airport. Now, as usual, there are about 50 staples that I got to take out of this thing to open it up. So got my screwdriver and my pliers, and we'll do that. And there we go. I gotta say, this thing looks great. Now, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with Menards structures, they're not meant to be top of the line, super detailed, perfect models. Affordability is the main focus. So this thing costs right at $100, which is a great deal for something like this. But it's not perfect. At that price, you know, you're not gonna get ultra perfect detailing and super high quality. You're gonna get something that's decent, that looks great, but you know, it's affordable. That's the main focus, like I said. So if you look closely, you might see some blobs of glue or some crooked stuff, or sometimes a piece might break off and you have to re-glue it. But you know, these things are so gosh darn affordable, nobody cares about stuff like that. And of course, they always look fantastic when you plug them in, which we'll do in just a second. So we've got some nice signage, got the radiation signs, restricted area, no trespassing. See the little no trespassing sign is peeling off a little bit, so I might have to re-glue that. That's what I'm talking about, little things like that. If this was a $400 model, that would be a big deal, but on a $100 model, nobody cares. Got the two crew figures there. There's Jack the German Shepherd. He's present on all Menards models. There's the Transformers that are supposed to have the red blinking lights. Nice chain link fence. It's not perfect, but from a distance, it looks great. There's the backside. We've got the cooling tower. There's a look down into the cooling tower. And it's just thin plastic, nothing fancy. And there's the port for the power adapter, and there should be one on the underside as well. Yep, there it is. And I love this feature about Menards buildings, because if you've got this on a layout where you can run the power up from underneath, you can use this. This is what I use when I put the buildings on my layout. And if you've got this on a temporary layout or on the floor or a workbench like I've got here, you can use this power port, and this is what we'll be using today. Very cool. I like the little loading bay here. And then the reactor core is in here, and it should be pretty cool when we turn this thing on. So let's go ahead and dim the room lights, and we'll power this thing up. All right, here goes nothing. 1, 2, 3. This thing looks great. Look at that. So we've got the blinking lights on the Transformers, and then we've got the lights in the core, and as you can see, it's rotating. Gives it a really cool disco ball kind of look. Menards does such a great job on their lighting. I mean, the structures look great, but the lighting is always what seals the deal. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, this will be an attention getter on the layout for sure. Wow. Now, these buildings don't come with the power supply. You have to buy it separately. So right now I'm using the smaller Menards power supply. You can see it plugged in back here. And those cost right at $7 or $8, I believe. And then the larger power supply that they sell, which is capable of powering multiple buildings, runs about $20 or so, I think. Yeah, $100 for this, you can't beat it. This is the perfect example of what makes Menards buildings so great. They're affordable and yet fantastic. Now, those of you familiar with my layout may be wondering where I'm going to fit something like this on the layout, because at this point, I really don't have room to add anything new of this size. Well, the answer is that I'm going to start rotating out the Menards buildings on my layout, because I have many more Menards buildings than will fit on the layout. And so from time to time, I'm going to switch the buildings out to add some variety to the layout. So this is going to be rotated out with the conventional power plant that's already on the layout on the upper level. So sometimes you might see the conventional power plant, other times you might see the nuclear power plant, and the same for other Menards structures on my layout. And I think that'll be cool because, like I said, it'll add some variety to the layout. When I shoot train videos, you might see different buildings from time to time. And when I get visitors to the layout for the open house each year, depending on which year they come, they might see different buildings on the layout. So anyway, let's go ahead and go down to the layout and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here's the Menards power plant that's currently on the layout. As you can see, it looks great. And I think the footprint for this building is pretty similar to the nuclear power plant, actually. So I'm going to swap it out and we'll see how it looks. And there it is. Yeah, that was pretty much a drop-in fit. And I think it looks great. Let's dim the lights. Yeah, that is super cool. Check out that pattern on the wall and the ceiling. It's kind of trippy. I like this a lot. And as I said, I'll just swap out those two buildings from time to time, maybe even a third building, we'll have to see. And that'll add a little variety to things here on the layout. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. And it's $100. You really can't beat that price. They do have a rebate from time to time where you can do a mail-in rebate program and get the price down to about $89. I've never done the rebate, so I don't know how well it works, but they do have it from time to time. But even at $100, you can't beat it. It's fantastic. All right, everybody, that about wraps it up for this video. Now, if you'd like to support this channel, I would greatly appreciate it. That can be done through Patreon at patreon.com/ericstrains. I'll put a link to it in the description below as well. Patreon supporters get access to all sorts of perks and benefits, and you can read about those benefits on my Patreon page. I'd like to put a big thank you out there to all of my current Patreon supporters. Your support means the world, not only to me, but to the future of this channel. And I'd like to put an extra big thank you out there to my premium tier Patreon supporters. You'll see their names at the end of this video. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Eric Siegel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, here goes nothing. 1, 2, 2.5, 3. Okay, never mind.